Welcome back to the Average Jacks podcast, and today I'm very happy to say I'm joined with Grace Vella. Grace, hi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming back onto the podcast. A little different circumstance.
Yeah, congratulations. This is incredible. I didn't expect this today.
No, yeah. It's as we were saying, it's a little overwhelming initially when you walk in, but yeah, it's a bit of a step up. Yeah. But yeah, so it's been, I think it was the 30th of March the last time we spoke, and you've had, I mean, quite a big year since then, haven't you? So that's sort of why I wanted to get you back on today, is to go over that and sort of talk about your journey. Obviously, I think it was like a month post-surgery when we last spoke, and you're sort of out of the woods with that now. I'll not do too many spoilers. Yeah. And obviously you've just rebranded MISSKICK as well with some, very nice garms like that. So what's the last year been like for you?
Busy. Yeah, very busy. For those who might have not watched the last podcast, I ruptured my ACL, and last time we caught up it was a month post-op. So yeah, busy rehabbing that. MISSKICK's been through a big change. I've just signed for a new football club. There's been a lot of change for me personally, but all for the better, I think. And yeah, just continuing to grow and work hard and do the best I can, really.
So a big thing that I was interested in was the rebrand specifically, and a big thing around probably owning a business and, signing for a new football team, doing the things that you do. When do you know a change is needed?
Great question. I think I always go with my gut. And sometimes in these moments, you'll just feel like something needs to change. I think for MISSKICK as an example, we were doing well, but it's about understanding the market, and women's football's grown dramatically over the past few years, and it was important we as a brand continue to reflect the community and show up for the women's football community. So we felt like that was the right time to change, just because so much has changed in the game, and it's important as a brand, as a business owner, that you continue to reflect that. So that was MISSKICK. And then the new football club one, I think I've been through so much with my knee, and I just wanted a new environment and something to test myself with. And I wanted to prove to everyone that all the hard work I put in was worth it. So yeah, decided to make that change as well.
Love that. And you mentioned there about the hard work, and doing this, I had a little look back and sort of through your Insta and things like that, and there was so much transparency with what you put on there, which I think is dead brave, and it's a real hard time, isn't it, when you go through such a big injury like that. Was there an element of being nervous around putting that? Because there was some emotional content on there as well. You didn't shy away from showing the highs and the lows, you know what I mean? So how was that daunting at all to sort of put on when you was at that? Because it was fair to say you was probably at rock bottom in comparison to playing football and then nothing. Yeah,
it was very difficult. I think why I wanted to do it was because as female players, sadly, it's quite prevalent. So women are 6 times more likely to suffer from an ACL injury, and everything that I've ever done as a person has been around equality and bringing women and girls along with me on the journey, whether that's in business or in football. And in that moment, I thought there's always a positive and a negative, right? And I thought, as much as I don't want to have this injury, I thought this could be a great opportunity to share with other women and girls who might have to go through the journey and what it's like. And I tried my best to be as open and honest as possible, because I think especially with social media, people can just post the highlights. And even when I was looking online about ACL injuries and what I thought it was going to be, it was a lot harder than I thought. So I just wanted to make sure I did it as authentically and as real as possible. And thankfully, I got quite a few messages from women and girls, parents, just saying how much it helped them, and that was all I could have asked for. And yeah, I think on a personal level as well, it allowed me to reflect on my own journey and see that I was actually seeing progress, because I was injured for 14 months. It took me 14 months to recover from that. So I needed some sort of timeline to reflect on, to be in those hard moments, I'm actually improving here, and that helped me as well get through it.
It's a massive thing, isn't it, with, anything, but specifically injuries, is not particularly having any reference point, because hopefully, touch wood, you've never had an injury like this before. For a lot of people, when they have major injuries, it's the first time they've ever experienced like that. And rehab's shit, innit? It's so boring, it's so it's
just the same every single day so for 6 months.
Exactly. You just do how many fucking resistance bands can one person use? But, is that what you would advise people, is, because there's a lot of documentation on social media, like you said, and the highs and the lows, but do you think that was a massive thing, was actually tracking that that progress and actually seeing it, because again, what I thought in my own experience was, I just thought, I'm getting nowhere with this.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you wait 6 weeks, 8 weeks until you see a doctor or a specialist and they go, actually, you've made a bit of progress. And that day you're like buzzing, oh, I can do this, I can do that.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to fall back into that hole, isn't it?
Yeah, I think because you're not seeing progress every single day, you're seeing it in weeks and weeks. And I remember with my ACL injury, we split it up into blocks, which I think really helped me. So like the first 6 weeks, the second 6 weeks. But for them 6 weeks, you're doing the same thing every single day. Like I'm not even messing. I think when I first got injured and we were in the gym, it was resistance bands, lifting, like leg extension. It was so boring, but it's so important, and you've just got to remind yourself. And I think something that really helped me was I worked with an amazing rehab specialist, Alan Jordan, and we tested every 6 weeks, so I could see visually with data that actually I was improving when I might not have done. If I hadn't done that, then I'd have no benchmark or nothing to aim for. He was always like, right, another 6 weeks now, the aim is X, Y, Z. We want you to be able to jump 20 centimetres next time. And just having those goals and milestones, I think, kept me on track. Otherwise, you can get lost in it. You know, I've spoken to other people who've been through injuries and it's so daunting, and there's so many ups and downs. Like, it's not linear at all. And sometimes if you're not seeing that progress, you can fall off. I think the middle bit was really difficult because, like, you were kind of past that bit, but you still had so much longer to go.
And it's like them newbie gains, isn't it, when you're in the gym?
Yeah.
Like, you have them first few months, and you're like, I am so good at this. Then you sort of hit that wall, don't you? And then, like you said, that progress stops being linear like it is almost, and then it's more up and down.
Exactly.
But you mentioned there about, you know, bringing someone in, and how important do you think outsourcing that stress of controlling that injury was for you?
It was massive as soon as I got injured. So I didn't have personal health insurance to cover my knee. And I was so fortunate. Like, some girls wait for that operation 6 to 12 months, but for some reason I managed to break through and I got mine within 3 months, which again is still quite a long time, but it was incredible. But I knew as I did that injury, I'm going to have to save up and pay for this. So I paid for private care with Alan, and I've spent at least over the past 15 months just to get myself back on the pitch. But for me, it wasn't just about getting back into football. I just wanted to make sure I had the best care possible for my life. Like, I didn't want to be 40 years old worrying that I can't climb a mountain, or you know what I mean. It was so important that, especially with an ACL injury, it's so complex. And, you know, I'm out the woods now and I'm still working with Alan because it's not just about getting back on the pitch, it's the next 12 months for me. It's high risk. So
all that prehab aspect of it, which is like what people forget. The
likelihood of me re-rupturing or getting another injury is much higher because of my operation. It's just a continuous investment into myself, which, you know, I wouldn't have changed any differently. It's something that I'd do again because he was great. Yeah,
and like you said, to almost be able to, it sounds like you could almost remove yourself away from it and look from above. And do you think that is like the business owner in you? Because I imagine you can't get overly emotional with things in MISSKICK and things like that. You have to disconnect almost. Do you think that's been a good segue into your personal life?
Yeah, I think so. I think MISSKICK's taught me a lot. Like, things go wrong, things are good, bad, and you can't get emotionally attached because it just takes the life out of you. But in saying that, that ACL rehab was the hardest thing I've ever been through. Like, that was much harder than anything I've ever dealt with MISSKICK, I think, because I rely so much on the gym and my being an active person, never mind football, just being able to walk or go for a run. I rely on that so much, and I just couldn't do that, and that was taken away from me. So even though I had the sort of experience with MISSKICK, that nothing could have prepared me for that, I don't think. But it's definitely stand me in good stead now, and I'm a much stronger person for it.
Yeah, before we touch on that, because that is a topic I sort of want to get into, is the impact that it's had on you in your personal life and, you know, your career. But you mentioned a little earlier as well, and when I was looking into the episode, you said that people told you that the recovery would be mentally harder than you would expect. So why was that true? Because I seen the reel that you put on about that, and what were some of the challenges that almost caught you off guard?
Yeah, I think my interpretation of that, when people were telling me, like, you know, it's going to be really mentally tough, was that I'd be really upset about it, I'd be really down. But actually, the hardest thing for me was when you were coming towards the end of your rehab is actually trusting yourself. And, you know, I've been through this massive injury. It happened because I slipped over on a football pitch. Like, it wasn't a massive tackle or anything. And having to believe in what I'd been through, the rehab I put in, the operation I'd been through, to actually put myself in them positions again, to not have to worry about it happening again. So things like, I was terrified of jumping single leg. Like even now when I go into training, it's still in the back of my mind, like, oh, this could happen again. And that's so hard to deal with, especially when you're trying to get back to playing full contact football. My physio actually, I was meant to progress to full contact and my scores were there, but he was like, you're still hesitating and I can't put you in that scenario where it's chaotic and you're not reacting properly because it's dangerous. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to get on top of this. And I think it is just exposure, repetition, and I'm hoping over time it'll just kind of...
Yeah. And have you done anything, you know, like sports psychology, things like that, visualization? Is there anything that you've been implementing to sort of get over that mental hurdle?
I've been reading a good book actually called Mental Tough, and that's more about sports psychology in general, but the principles around it were about visualization, about like trying to focus on 3 things in the game that you can really control, and I think that prevents the noise from happening for me. And it just gives me like focus on what I'm trying to do instead of worrying about money given away or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But that was a really good book.
Yeah, well, I'll check that out. But like, another thing that I wanted to ask was, and this is general, change is such a scary thing for people and it can be almost overwhelming. When you got onto the pitch for the first time, which congratulations, I've seen that you did, how was it to prepare knowing that you was having to go on and be almost a different player, I imagine?
Yeah, it was a lot. I remember it's kind of that moment that you think about as you are in your rehab and you're like doing the boring things, like just that's the moment that you work towards. And I was so overwhelmed in that. I remember the day before I had a panic attack, not had a panic attack in years.
Yeah.
And I just thought part of it's because of that. And then going down, travelling in the car, I went with some of the girls in the team, so I thought I need to just calm down. And even then, like, I was just so anxious. And then I only came on the last 15 minutes, so I've had to warm up and sit and wait. And then I wasn't even sure if he was going to put me on. And then to go onto that pitch, my heart was racing. I was like, wow, I was like, do I even want to play football anymore? It was really overwhelming. But in the end, like, again, it's just exposure. And yeah, it was a lot, but that was what I'd worked towards. And now I'm in such a better place and I love my football again. And I'm just ready to take on the new season.
Imagine it was super relieving to just get it done.
Yeah, I think even like with the whole social media thing as well, everyone was waiting for me to return. And because I've been so open, Alan, he talked about this with me and he was like, it's amazing what you've done in terms of sharing your journey, but you've also created this invisible pressure around you where people are waiting and watching you and asking you like when you're getting back on the pitch, and that is internally is quite hard to deal with. So yeah, I think that had its good things, but that was also quite a challenge as well.
You touched and again, naturally segued from it quite well. So you've done that now. Do you know what I mean? Like you did all the boring stuff, the blocks and the phases. You got back on the pitch. You had the motivation and sort of maybe not the motivation. That's probably the wrong word. You had the end goal of the rehab to be like, I'm back on the pitch now. Has it been difficult to realign the goal now that one's been achieved and sort of where do I go next as a footballer?
I don't think so. I think my goal honestly now is just to be as fit and ready as available as possible. So going into I've signed for Bolton Wanderers, so that all gets announced. I think it'll be announced by the time this goes out. And for me, it's just about being as fit and ready for every single game, playing as many minutes as possible. As I mentioned before, the likelihood of me getting injured again this season is really high. So what can I control as a player? It's diet, nutrition, sleep, making sure I'm recovering properly, and being really honest about my knee as well. You know, I'm going back into training 3 times a week now. I need to make sure when we do play friendlies, like I'm not playing 90 minutes straight away. It's being really mindful that it's hard because I want to forget about it and move on, but I can't. Like, you've got to always have that. And even in a new environment with new players and I'm wanting to impress and do well, I still have to, in the back of my mind, remember about my knee and making sure, even though I am fit and ready technically, I still have to go in earlier, do 10, 15 minutes on my own, make sure my knee is activated and, just be mindful of that.
Balance of that, we've talked a lot about, you know, your journey getting back on the pitch and how intense that was and how much went on for it. How did you manage to balance being like the face of your own brand, having your own business, you know, and going through, again, we've mentioned the rebrand, but that's a lot. Do you know what I mean? And you've always, like I said, you've created almost internal pressure with the football. There must be a lot of pressure on running a business. How does one even like comprehend that when they get up in the morning?
Yeah, it was a lot, but I think having MISSKICK and something that I've realised as I've gotten older is like not attach your identity to one thing. So especially when I was younger, I was the footballer, and when that kind of got broken, I didn't know who I was. Whereas at least with this scenario, like I have my knee and I'm focusing on that, but MISSKICK also gave me something else to think about. And I work now with an incredible team for MISSKICK. We've licensed the brand out, so I work with a company called Hella Brands. So I work with like a marketing department, finance department. Someone does my website. So it's not as if like everything relies on me now to deliver. I just kind of oversee. So thankfully I have great people around me to help me. But it was a lot. I remember like I didn't realise how draining rehab was, and I was like, how am I so tired? Like I wasn't even like running loads or training loads, but I think it's just the mental tiredness of doing the same thing every day. And then having to like obviously go home and work on MISSKICK was hard, but yeah, I think it's good to have a few different things.
Yeah. So a thing that I wanted to cover was, you know, the lessons that the injury taught you and that you've been able to transfer into business. I think you've touched on a couple of points there, but is there any that come to mind immediately?
I think doing the basics.
Yeah.
So with my knee, it's the boring stuff that no one wants to do, and I think that relies on business. It's making sure you're staying on top of fundamentals, foundations to help you be successful in whether that's your rehab or in business. And yeah, I think just the psychological effects of the ups and downs, like that reminded me a lot of business and being able to deal with good points and bad points, and understanding that, as I mentioned, like success isn't linear, and knowing that's normal. So on those low moments, knowing that, you know what, there will be good times, and when the good times are there, to not be afraid to enjoy them and not be upset when, you know, bad things do happen, because that's just normal. Yeah,
of course it is. And like, you know, setbacks are so important for the end goal.
Yeah.
Like I put something, I wrote like a blog about it the other day. It's like rejection. A big thing with doing this has been rejection and getting used to people ignoring you, ghosting you, cancelling last minute. And at first it feels very, you know, personal. And then you almost develop a tolerance to it. And imagine that's the same with everything that you do. Once you've almost had that exposure, you develop that tolerance to just get used to it and be able to deal with it and manage it. And how do you know when you've done enough, especially with like the injury, the rehab and the business, you know, because you're a go-getter, like you're very determined because, you know, you've done everything you've done, like you've documented it. But how hard is it for you to stop?
Very hard. Yeah, when you're like, when's it enough? I don't know. I think it's something that I've got better at as I've got older. I think, like, when I was just starting out with MISSKICK, I was 21, and those early years, I probably ran myself into the ground and didn't look after my health at all. I wasn't going to the gym. Whereas now, like, I do have a lot more balance. And I think a lot of it comes down to understanding yourself and how you feel, and recognising when you might be burnt out or you might be tired, and not being afraid to take breaks, which again is, I'm trying to preach to myself here. But yeah, it's hard, but I think as you grow, and again with experience, you can kind of recognise when it's time to stop and when you need to just have a minute. But it is very hard, and it's hard because you need that in you to achieve good things. Like, no one who's been successful in life did it working normally. I think it comes in peaks and troughs. So there'll be times in your life and where you'll have to just sit down and work hard, because, for example, if I didn't do that when I was 21, would I be where I am today? Probably not. But then also not at the expense of your health. Because again, that's just not worth it either, in my opinion.
I was watching something it was Chris Williamson talking about Eddie Hall, and he was saying, like, when Eddie Hall was a strong man, he was like 400 pound, he won the world's strongest man, and then he retired there and then. But he was saying, oh, well, his health was pretty bad from being like 400 pounds at 6'3", but he was saying it was like his relationships. But you can't get to that point without sacrificing. Like, but again, do you think, you mentioned there about being 21 and almost like running yourself into the ground. Do you think reflection's been a big thing as you've got older? Because I feel like, from my experience, you only sort of develop the skill set to reflect as you get on.
I feel like you only really understand, like, people can give you advice, but you only really understand it when you personally go through it. And that's the biggest lesson and the biggest way to learn. So Yeah, I think hindsight comes with experience, and of course, like if I reflect, there would have been things I do differently. But then again, would I? Because I don't want.
It's the butterfly effect.
You don't really know, do you? So it's one of those things. But I think reflection's so important. It's something I try and do on a quarterly basis as a minimum, just to see it, make sure that. Because sometimes you can get carried away in life, and you're like, am I actually doing what I want to do here? And just having a minute, even just an hour, once a month, just to be like, okay, this is what I wanted to do this year. Am I actually taking steps towards that? Or not. It's so important.
Yeah, you've mentioned blocks and like phases a few times. Is this something
is this a thing?
Yeah, is this a trend? Yeah, is this a trend? I've just noticed it. Like, he was like, my rehab was in 3 blocks, and then I sort of do this course.
My brain works.
You know, is that a tool that you've brought in to manage?
Maybe that's just the way my brain works.
Yeah, well, we're claiming it. You can claim that now. You can say, actually, I compartmentalize these things and just go over it. When you look back and over a pretty hard time, a pretty emotional time, we've talked about, the highs and lows. What was the biggest positive to come out of it?
I'd say the biggest positive is physically I'm the strongest I've ever been in my life. And that is because I invested the time and energy into understanding what it takes to perform and train like a footballer. It's something that I'm so passionate about, and I think at some point in my life I'll do something around it, whether it's a new business or something. But I didn't realise how little I knew, despite playing at academy level at 18, about, as a female in the gym, what I should be doing as a footballer. I was training so generically. In speaking and spending time with Alan, I was like, why has no one taught me? So like, I'm the quickest I've ever been because someone's actually taught me how to run properly. I'm the strongest I've ever been, or my scores are higher. And I think that just shows, like, when you invest in yourself, amazing things can happen. And even at my age, like I'm 29 now, it's never too late to learn. Yeah. Like your health and yourself is the biggest investment you can make. So that was huge for me, and that's a real positive that's come out of it. Like, even now going into the gym at my new club, I feel so confident. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I've learnt so much, and that can only help me progress now as a player. And I'm excited to see kind of what I can go and achieve now with this behind me, which I've never even knew
like
about.
A new lease of life, pretty much.
Yeah, hopefully.
It's crazy though, isn't it, how such a massive setback can almost be revitalising once you get through it. You get out of the deep bit.
Honestly, some of the lowest moments in my life, the best things happened straight after. Whether it was like I got released from Man City and then started MISSKICK. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My knee, I obviously got injured. Now I've got like all this new knowledge and ideas, and it's mad. So I think, for anyone listening who is going through a tough time, or there's always something always comes good out of it at the end. That's what I've experienced.
So you talked there about, like potential new businesses, this information, things like that.
Yeah.
How do you rein yourself in? How do you not, like, because you've done well, you've been, successful in your recovery, your business has done well, you signed for a new club. How do you not, this is bad phrasing, but how do you not, like, fall in love with yourself and be like, right, I can do everything, I'm unbeatable?
It is tough. I think I've also learnt the hard way with MISSKICK, in that you can't, someone said to me, you can't chase too many chickens. You can only chase one chicken at a time. And that stuck with me, because I remember when I was starting MISSKICK out, and I was, right, we're going to do clothing, and then I'm going to have an academy, then I'm going to have a charity, and then I'm going to be a football agent. Like, that was my presentation. Like, there was just too much going on, and I thought that was quite naive of me at the time. Whereas now, like, I have ideas, I have thoughts, but it's about making sure, do I have the resources right now? And resources time. Have I got the time personally to invest in this? And you've got to be so strategic and be able to say no to things as well. But I have ideas and presentations on Canva that, when the time...
they're just there waiting to be cooked, and just thrown out my Canvas like that. I'm like, that's going to be the post. That's going to be the one that, like, everyone's going to love, and then you actually post it and it just fucking falls
all the
flat
time.
on its face. It's always the one that's like the shittest, and you're like, come on, really? So, like, when you do that and you put, like, maybe like concepts together and things like that, how do you not... Because you work with a team now, so I imagine it's not just your voice in there, and you've almost had to not give away some control,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, you've almost had to, like, submit some control to it. How do you not get disheartened when someone goes, actually, Grace, that one's not the one? Yeah, it's been a big learning curve for me, because when MISSKICK started, the biggest we ever were was like 5 members of staff. So we were like this lean
backs against the wall. Everyone did everything. We just like loved it, lived it, breathed it. And now obviously it's completely different where I'm one of 10 brands that they license. So understanding like I don't have the 5 people, I have to have like shared time with other brands. And yeah, it's been really hard and really tough. But also what this has given me is people with real expertise. And I think it's something that I've had to learn about finding my own voice in these meetings as well, because there's amazing people in there who have come from like Adidas, Sweaty Betty, who have ideas around product, but ultimately it's my vision. I am the customer, so I also have to make sure that I'm not afraid to speak up. And I have found that hard, I'll be honest. Like it's been quite a transition, but I think what the team have delivered with the rebrand has been incredible. And yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. It's still early days. It only launched 28th of May, but yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
But I think, again, as you get older, you kind of have to find that confidence to speak up, because I don't want to look back and be like, oh,
yeah. Sort of
didn't
like,
really want that.
Deathbed threats. And like, you're like, oh, why did I never, take that leap? And it's class to sort of hear you talk about, very much sounding like you had like an underdog mentality when you first started MISSKICK.
Yeah.
Is that the mentality still?
I think so. We're still a small brand where we represent women's football, and that's it. Like, we don't want to represent any other sports. We're like women's football through and through. And I think when you look at the big dogs out there, you've got like Adidas, Nike, Puma, we're tiny. We're so small. And also, I think that really aligns to our values as a brand. Like, we are a community brand. We love that we know our customers by name, and they like reach out to us. They keep us updated on how their football journey's going. It's incredible. Like, just one that's just come to mind is we had a young girl called Betsy. She modelled for MISSKICK like 4 years ago. Turned up to training on Tuesday. She's there. And I was like, she was like, no
Full
way.
circle.
So as if we're playing football together. And then her mum messaged me like, oh, she was made up to see you. And I thought, oh, like, love that.
Yeah.
Like a small, I obviously want to grow, but trying to keep that community
but
feel.
It's your values, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like, again, touching on it, I imagine in a world of business where you want to compete with these big dogs, values and sticking to them, I imagine sometimes on a knife edge, because you're almost like, actually, do we stray away from what we did to get there, or do we stick with what we are, and that might lose some opportunities?
Yeah.
And is that a battle you've had to face?
Yeah, I think when we were thinking about, for example, launching the new MISSKICK and the rebrand, it didn't want to feel like overnight we'd just changed who we were. Our values and who we are and what we stand for has always stayed the same. It was like we were just having a bit of a refresh. So that was really important for our community, and making sure, like, we have like a broadcast channel and we update them, and they knew it was coming before sort of the main world knew. So yeah, that's really important for sure.
So I like just hearing you talk about it and sort of the journey. It's motivating, because you can sort of see that it's still this concept, but it's gone so much bigger, and the opportunities that you've got from it have just been like insane. I've sort of like, obviously I follow you on social media, so you sort of see where you end up. Is there ever like a pinch me moment sometimes? Because you didn't go to like was it the Women's Champions League final or something?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, I'm very lucky. Like, I think, again, for a long time, MISSKICK was me, and like that was who I was. And I've realised now that actually, as I've grown up, like MISSKICK is just one part of me, and I can have multiple ideas and roles and things as I've developed. And one thing that I've really wanted to focus on over the past 12 months is my personal brand and being able to grow that. And yeah, like, I had a paid post with TikTok go out today.
Mad.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, it's insane, but just shows the power of storytelling, power of individuals within these organisations, and knowing like I'm from Skem down the road, and I've just built a bit of a very small following. And I think nowadays on socials, it's not about followers, it's about what you stand for, purpose, being like commercial in terms of like why would a brand want to work with you. And I think I spent a bit of time working with an amazing person again called Richard Frost. Invested a bit of my own sort of funding to work with him. So he's ex-Nike, but he works with creators, personal brand building, and he helped me kind of shape what I wanted to do this year. And then because of that, like I have a sponsorship with Stat Sports, TikTok, went to the Europa League final in Istanbul a few weeks ago.
Crazy.
And I think it's amazing when you actually put your mind to something and stick to it, what you can go. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. When you see the rewards of, sharing that personal journey and letting people behind, not the mask, but you know what I mean, letting people behind that, how how difficult is it to not just be like, here's everything? Because there's got to be something that you have to keep back, surely.
Yeah, I think it is hard. It's something that I've not really struggled with. I think it comes quite naturally to me. I'm quite an open book anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not a very good liar, which doesn't help sometimes when I'm in business situations.
Yeah.
Like, here's all my information. Like, no, Grace, you don't have to tell them everything. Like, whereas I'm just quite an open person, which I think has its pros and cons. But yeah, absolutely. I think also a level of like security and privacy. You know, if you share too much online, people can know where you are, and that can be quite dangerous as well, especially if you've got a huge following. People find out where you live. Like, there's things like that that obviously do cross my mind. As I get older as well, you know, when I have a family and like thinking about like what that looks like for me and what would I want to share on socials, I think that's very different to like where I am right now.
Because I don't think it's talked about enough, that aspect of social media. I think, again, something I like struggle with, you try and create this personal brand, but you can only give so much away. You only have so much to give, like you said, and you. So yeah, I think I love that you touched on it like that and talked about it like that, because I think some people just see it and they want to just give everything away. They think this is the way to do it. This is the way to, you know, get out there, and because you do need to connect with people.
Yes.
I think social media's changed so much in the last couple of years that it's not necessarily about the amount of followers. It's about the engagement and the connection that you have with your followers. People only follow you now if they give a shit about you. And they only comment and they only engage if they give a shit about you. So, you know, it's about finding that connection. But again, everything has its pros and its cons, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, you know, we've talked about the last 12 months. What are you excited about in the next 12 months? Obviously, you've got Bolton, you've got MISSKICK, you've got these ideas, but is there anything that comes to mind that you're excited about?
Front and centre is football for me. I've worked so hard over the past 14 months just to have the privilege to be on the pitch again. I think one thing I'm kind of going through at the moment is, like, I've had to work so hard to just get back training, and obviously girls have been playing a lot, so I'm playing catch up still in terms of my fitness, and that's quite hard to deal with because I've never been that player who struggles with that. But you know, it is what it is, and I have to remember this time last year I was learning to jump on a 20-centimetre box. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't even jump. So I think for me, football's a big one. I want to, even though it's not like my job and my career, I think something inside me as a young girl, like that's who I am as a footballer, and it matters so much to me. So I want to show to everyone, like this year, like when you put in the effort, you can achieve great things. And so that's my sort of main priority. And then with MISSKICK, as I say, we've just relaunched, so just keep pushing that and see where that kind of goes. We've got the Women's World Cup next June, next July. So that's a big moment for us as a brand. So how can we make sure we show up the best way there, and ideas around that, and yeah, it's a big 12 months.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a big 12 months. It's like there's a lot going on. There was one question before we start wrapping up. There's a few more questions left, but there was one that, what was harder, rebuilding the knee or rebuilding the trust in yourself to use it?
That's such a great question. The trust. Yeah, and I'm not even just saying, like, that's genuinely, when I think about it, that was so hard. It's something that I really struggled with. Like, with an ACL, you have steps and protocols, and, you know, I can achieve them. I'm allowed to jump if I can do this. I am allowed to run if I can do this. Whereas the mental side of things, there's no real, like, tick box.
Yeah, there's no path.
As we've discussed.
You're like a quarter and a block.
Like, in my head, I don't have that. So, yeah, that was really hard, and I think that'll stay with me, probably. It's changed me as a person, definitely, but one thing it has done is made me so grateful. So, like, every time I go and play now, it's like the best thing in the world.
Yeah, you got a newfound appreciation for it.
Before, I just took it for granted, so that's good.
There's only you know, resilience as a concept is something that we all need. It's something that, you know, a lot of us probably don't have enough of, but you have to go through pretty shit things to actually get a good level of it, don't you? And did you shock yourself with your own resilience over these last 12 months?
Probably. I don't know. What was I saying to my mum? Oh, because I went into training on Tuesday and I called my mum on the way home, and I was like, Mum, I actually did it. And she's like, obviously you did it.
Yeah.
Like, I was so nervous about going into my new team and where I was going to end up. We had like fitness testing, and I just didn't know where I was going to. And I was like, Mum, I did it. And I was actually all right. She's like, obviously, like, I almost forget. I don't know. It's something I think I've always dealt with as a person. No, I wouldn't say like underrepresenting myself or like underestimating myself. Sorry, but it's something I've always had to deal with. It's just weird. So yeah.
It's that imposter syndrome, isn't it? I think, like, sometimes you think, oh, actually, can I do this? Should I do this?
Actually do it, to believe I can do it.
Yeah.
It's the anticipation of not knowing I can do it.
That trial by fire.
Stress. And then I do it, and I'm like, wow, I was so stressed.
Yeah.
Which is the way I am.
And it works clearly because look at where it got you. So, you know, like, your mum gave you big raps for it. You know, she knew you could do it. But if you could speak to the Grace that I spoke to 12 months ago, like, month post-surgery, probably world on fire, like, what the fuck am I going to do? What would you tell her now?
Just stick to the plan.
Yeah.
Stick to the plan. You've got, a plan in place. If you do that, you'll be fine. Like, just believe in the people you've put in place to help you achieve things and just do it. Like, you've just got to do it. Like, that's it. That's what I'd say.
And is that the same advice that you'd give to someone listening who's been through something similar to yourself, or is there anything you'd tweak for that?
Yeah, definitely. I think when you have professionals around you, which I know not everyone is privileged enough to do that or have that, but when you have, it just gives you so much confidence, and know that they're the best place to help you. And listening is also really important, but also listening to yourself. So, you know, times when I've had to go into rehab and my knee was so sore and being like, I can't do that today, and that's okay. So yeah, listen to professionals, but also, you know your body, you know how you feel more than anyone, so that's also important.
Perfect. I think that's like a perfect place to wrap it up. So thank you very much for coming in. It's been like dead interesting listening to what you've said and sort of, you know, put a bow on it as like such a big 12 months for you and everything that you've got planned and everything that you're doing. But hopefully, you know, someone listens to this and you can be sort of the inspiration and the motivation to be like, actually, it can be done, and it can be done with all these multiple factors that are going on around it, because like you said, you've got many plates spinning and things like that. But before you go, let people know where they can find you and where they can. No, you can look at me. That's fine.
So you can find me, Grace Vella, on socials, and then MISSKICK is the business. So go look at that as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much for coming back on.
Thank you for having me.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.